Morning, guys. Whew. That smell will put some hair on your chest or kill a few brain cells, one of the two. We'll find out in about 20 years. Morning. As you can see, we're staining putting a little bit of oil on this wall mural. And I said yesterday that it was mahogany, but I'm pretty sure it's some sort of teak. And I know that this homeowner had a whole bunch of koa wood from Hawaii, that this may be koa wood. I think I was wrong yesterday. So sometimes that happens. I'm gonna get this thing all stained up so that way it dries while I'm spraying the finals on those Paul Frankel nightstands. Those are gonna go in the booth in about probably an hour. I wanna get this stained up so this afternoon you could actually see me spraying polyurethane. Stay tuned. As you can tell, I'm trying to do some better footage for you, but we screwed up with the camera. Only gave you a few minutes of that time lapse. Go on my Instagram right now. I just posted one earlier today of a time lapse of the same piece on my cell phone. So go check that out if you want to see me stain this entire piece. But as you can tell, that stain is now pretty much dry, but I have one more piece to go in the booth before we get this in for the first coats of the polyurethane. And that is this little Ethan Allen end table. Came to us that the top and the middle surface were messed up. They were a little bit damaged, but we did stain this tabletop. Now, obviously not quite dark enough, but because the cherry will darken up over time. So what we're gonna do now is get this top in the spray booth for a few coats of toner. That way we can get this top to match, get this in for sealer, one more coat, and then later this afternoon, we could spray a final on it. Let's get going. First thing, I sound like a broken record, wipe it down with the tack cloth. That's the most important. Get any of that little dust that's off of it, that's on it. It'll remove it. That way we get a lot smoother of a finish. We'll throw my mask on and then we're gonna throw a few coats of color on. And as we go, you may see me pop out, check the color, come back in, spray a little bit more. That's really you're not gonna get this on your first attempt. It's gonna take 2 or 3 visits to the piece, and you wanna see that piece out in more natural lighting versus inside my spray booth. This lighting is really good for spraying and colors, but you wanna see it out in natural lighting because I think there's 3,000 lumens on each, so it's there's a lot of light in here that a normal house would not have. Plus, we have lighting for cameras too, so it makes it even brighter in here. You just want to check your work. You want to check along the way. Because if you pass the color, you're going to have to strip it and do it all over again. This is the second time I've come out now. We're gonna kind of bring it down to the level of the piece. What I'm gonna do is kind of flip it up on its side. And you can see we are just a little bit off. It needs just a little bit of brown, I think. I think we're good with the red and the orange. We just need a little bit of brown. And sometimes we're gonna let it sit for a little bit and dry, because when it's really wet, it'll stay a lot more yellow and gold until it dries out and flattens back out to like a satin sheen or whatever it lays out in. But yeah, it's I think I just need a little bit of brown. I'm gonna probably use that with a toner can instead of the spray gun. Okay, so we got it set back up. Throw my mask back on. And what I said, I need to kill a little bit of this red color, this orange. Only way to do that is adding green, which is really good with this Van Dyke walnut. It has a really bright green brown color to it, which will kind of neutralize any red tones. So same thing. I know the end grain were pretty good. It's the front grain and the top that has just got a little bit of that red to it. So just by doing this, we're gonna spray just like we do with the spray gun, just overlapping passes. I'm gonna hit the sides just 1 or 2 times. Because the end grain is not as big of a deal. It's already dark, so we know that it's good. It's the top that we want to make sure matches 100%. So let's see. That little bit looks like we think we got it. Back away. It's really hard to tell because of how wet it still is. I may just leave it till after lunch, and there you go. It just, every way you look at it, it's a little bit different due to the highlights in that cherry. But I said, I think we've got it. I think we're right on. Like I said, we'll just let it sit for, during lunch. I'll come back and put it in for some sealer. Let that dry, and hopefully later this afternoon, scuff it with 320 and get it in for finals. Another piece that could go out possibly tomorrow, which is Friday. It is time to start opening up some of that polyurethane. The best brand out there that I remember using was this Pinnacle. I don't know, I mean, it's probably been 7 or 8 years. We did a lot of work for a company called Heirlooms and Hardware out in Huntington Beach and Long Beach. They had moved. They're the only ones that we really used this product for, and then they got out of the industry and are doing different things now. They're not making tables for restaurants and all that. So I don't know why this wasn't even on my radar for this project. Once again, we're gonna have to mix this up really well because this is the satin sheen, and at the bottom is all the old, let's see if some of that paste right there. It's all sitting here at the bottom, so we need to make sure it's all mixed up properly. And what I think I'm going to do is grab a cup. I'm going to pour off, 20-30 ounces carefully. I'm going to rag to wipe that up, so that way we have something to. We have a little bit of room to mix. We'll get this all mixed up thoroughly, then we can pour this back in and and basically mix this stuff to the perfect ratio. It's I believe this was a 4-to-1 is what it was. 4 parts poly, 1 part hardener, and then we'll thin it down just a little bit with acetone. If I remember, so I got to read the instructions again. It's been a while, so we'll get this mixed up first. So this is like these little plastic cups. You can get these at paint stores, Amazon, Home Depot, I think even sells some of these. But they have a lot of the right paint ratios that you need, or just ounces, which is what we use mostly. You just do the math. We'll do basically 20, which is it's a 4-to-1 mixture. So you do 20, and then we'll put 5 ounces of the hardener in it, so it'd be 25 ounces total. And if I remember right, we do a splash of acetone too, which will help thin it just a little bit and may help speed up the dry time as well, so that way we could sand it and maybe put 2 coats on this today. I'm gonna actually put my mask on as well. I forgot how potent this is, and what I like, the saying always is the sweeter the smell, it's really bad for your health. I don't know if that rhymes, but the stuff today that we shoot, the low VOCs, they have a really weird odor, pungent. You want to put your mask on because it does smell. It just doesn't have a good a good odor to it. This is a low VOC, but the higher, the sweeter the smell. The old 800 or like 900 VOC lacquer that we used to use 20 years ago, it smelled like candy, and you just walked in the spray booth, and that's where you talk about people getting high, getting loopy. That's the kind of stuff that'll do it to you. You couldn't be in the spray booth long enough with modern lacquers for it to to get you to that point. You're gonna have a headache before that. It's just your nose is not gonna be happy. So I'm gonna throw this on and finish up the paint ratio. Okay, we just got this all blown off. All the sawdust is off of the surface. And if you notice, it is raining outside, but I'm wearing a jacket in here too. With this polyurethane, it likes to stay wet for for the time that it takes for it to cure, an hour, 2 hours. But if it gets on your skin, it just gets, your skin starts getting sticky, tacky. You may even see me put my hood on at a point, but with the mask and everything on, I think I'll be okay. But it gets on your arms, it just gets annoying. I'm gonna throw my mask on and we'll get some sealer on here. Okay, we got the first couple coats on. I used all of that. Like I mentioned, just mix what you need. Because of the nature of this product, I'm gonna clean the gun out with acetone, probably flush it out twice, get a rag, wipe it off around it. I'm gonna leave the booth on, maybe put a fan on it to see if I can get this to force dry within an hour or two. We can come in here and scuff it, and then that way we can spray a second coat on it today. Therefore, we could spin it over tomorrow and spray the first coats on the top side that you saw me work on this morning. With this going exterior, it's really important to spray both sides. If you were to leave the backside raw, it could still soak in moisture. It's going near the ocean, all that humid air, the salt. It's really important to do this. It takes a little bit longer. You can't spray it all at once. And most importantly, to hit these edges. The top edge is probably the most important because if any moisture or dew or anything, mist, rain, whatever, sits on it, it can soak in these end grains like a sponge and work its way into the material, into the wood, and therefore ruining the finish either on the backside or the face. We don't want that to happen. So I said we'll get the booth back on, we'll clean the gun, and we'll get back outside and finish up that Eames chair. Okay, I already went in the booth. That polyurethane's already starting to tack up, which, like I said, we've got about another hour or so. We'll let it wait another few minutes. We can go in there and scuff it and hopefully get a second coat on it today. But in the meantime, I'm gonna button up this project, which is the Eames chair that we had to replace those 4 shock mounts on. As you can see now, everything is nice and sturdy. These are nice and secured again. Now they've been drying for almost 48 hours, so we should be plenty fine to put it back together and put the cushions on, and we could test and sit in it. But what I'm going to do first is just oil it up, hydrate it, get it back to life, clean it up so that way the customer has it restored. She has the ottoman, so we're not going to clean the ottoman. It's at her home. We're going to give her a little oil when she picks it up to clean that. So first, what I'm going to do is grab a few things. Some of my cleaning oil, a cup, and then what we're going to do is scrub it with a little bit of the fine steel wool, which is this guy here, and then just carefully go around it and hydrate everything. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the oil and just carefully just slowly go around it. Just hydrate everything. If you see any dirt or any paint, you could scrub that off with that steel wool. Like right there's a little bit of dirt right there. A little bit of paint, probably bumped against the wall before, right up here in this corner. So I said, I'm going to carefully work my way around, clean it inside and out. Let it sit for a minute, and then I'll come back and dry it all up. So I just want to make sure you got a nice, clean, even coat on it. Make sure to hit around this perimeter as well, the bottom. So make a big difference with like the look of this piece when we're done. That's a little bit more dirt right there. Right there, a little bit of dirt right there. Just keep playing with it, keep inspecting it. I found a little spot we missed right here. I'm just going to take a quick rag and dry up some of the excess for now so it doesn't drip. But we're just going to let it sit on there for a few minutes while we do the whole chair. Then we'll come back and really dry it off with a few clean rags. So I see a little bit more right here. this stuff is just on the surface from being, 60 years old. Mid 50s. I think this was a second gen. All right, now we got it all cleaned up. Now it's time to put the cushions back on it. Let's see. Pull them out. Get everything reassembled on this. So this is the top. I believe this is the top. Let me see. Nah, that one goes there. It's the middle. She brought it in separately, so I usually label these. She did not, so yeah, that one's the top. You can tell just the difference by the shape. I can get this guy. There it goes. So you can hear it pop in. Where is this one? Right there. Got it. That one was just silent. Just let's see right here. Get it in place. Pop it in. Let's see. All right, there it is, right there. Let's see. See if I can get this one to pop in. Nope, slot popped out. Hate when it pops out like that. See, now you can see this Eames chair starting to take shape again. It stands once again. It's one of the worst things when these things break and customers feel like it's ruined. And for most instances it is. It's a broken chair, but at the end of the day, it's 4 new shock mounts and a little bit of time, and we could bring it back to life. As I said, now even with it just being rehydrated, you can see that the character pops back out again. That rosewood chair I showed you yesterday, the grand reveal, that one was a fully restored, same generation. So if this was to get stripped and fully refinished, it would look just like that one with the gray leather that we've just finished up yesterday. So it's a gorgeous chair. So I got one more screw. All right, now let's test it for the first time. Let's take it a little more comfortable. So with these chairs, it's really important not to sit and plop in them. They are strong, like they've lasted 50 years of people bouncing on them, but just as one of those warnings, precautions, I tell customers, don't sit in it and plop back like a couch, like a modern day couch. They're a lot more petite, and then you got to think you're dealing with 50 or 60-year-old pieces of wood as well. So it could be that it could be brittle. You could find little pieces of damage that you don't see. But even with a little bit of rocking on it, there's no play in any of these arms or the back. All you need is a nice little cocktail. You can put it on this little table next to it and get it in your home. Let's go. All right, it dried up. So what I'm going to do is just do a light sanding with the sponge, and then we can go back, make up some more, and put a pretty wet coat on so this dries overnight. I said it doesn't take a lot. All you're trying to do is seal up the back of this so no moisture gets in either. And when you're working on pieces like this that are old and a lot of splinters, work slower. Don't be getting your hands crazy, because real easily you can get one of these pieces of wood right in your hand and just kind of ruin your day. Those splinters are not fun, especially when you're not expecting them and they just stab you. Okay, so now we've already got the paint mixed up. I just got to get it in the spray gun. And then we'll start building up this poly for the back side. And hopefully it fills it up and looks amazing. So that way we could flip it over tomorrow and I can get the other side started. We'll probably wait till Monday to sand the back side, and that way, you know, we could do it once on Friday, once on Monday. I don't know when this video is coming out, but now you know roughly how our schedule works. Now you can tell we put much more of that polyurethane on top of this. You can see the little bit of the shimmer. We're going to let this kind of off gas dry in here overnight, leave the vent on for another 30 minutes, then come back tomorrow, flip it over and start the carved sides. Like I said, this is going to dry in a satin sheen. Right now this is probably a semi-gloss or a high gloss, depending on whatever your levels are. But like I said, we're going to let this dry. I'm going to try to go finish that little table we sprayed the top on earlier today, get that prepped and get it back in the spray booth just so I can finish it and call the customer and get it out of here. Let's clean this gun. All right, 20 minutes or so left. We want to finish this one up so I can tell the customer that it's ready. And I said it's dry. It's been drying for about 2 hours now. Just do a light sanding with the sandpaper. And this will be ready for the final top coats. It's a solid cherry. It's an old Ethan Allen. I forget what year it said. 97, I think. 312.97. I think that's about what he was saying. It was from the 90s. But like I said, some people may look at it as just generic furniture. This is just a nice, well-built piece of furniture, kind of in like the stickly style from the early 1900s. But like I said, it's all modern stuff. But like I said, people still, they enjoy it. They bought it early in their marriage, I think he had said, and now they've he said he destroyed it, so he wanted to repair it for his wife. So that's what we're here for, keeping marriages in good standing, keep everyone happy. But happy wife, happy life, or happy spouse, happy house. I don't know which one. I would lean more towards happy spouse, because it definitely takes two in that household. That's for sure. Okay, we got everything done today. Tomorrow we'll be doing some assembly on some Paul Frankel nightstands, that little table that we just finished, and then I have one more, some metal that we're going to clean, which is something unique that you don't see very often by wood refinishers doing this metal repair. Once again, if you've learned something new from this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll really help out with the algorithm, help push this channel to new people, and even tag a friend down below. Let them know that they should tag the subscribe button as well to benefit their refinishing game. We'll see you guys tomorrow.